every filmmaker is trying to reach you with their opening moment. Aloha nerds, just doing a little announcement. TheSalawag, will be on the Batman vs. James Bond show today. So if you're free, I have the link in the description and the link hopefully right here. Feel free to check it out. If you want to hear me nerd out about The Dark Knight Rises and talk about why Dark Knight Rises is great, go over to Batman vs. Bond show, batmanvsjamesbond.com. And yeah, that'll be up tonight. So yeah, thank you for watching and go check out that show. Aloha nerds, and welcome back to TheSalawag's Why It's Great. I'm your host, TheSalawag, and on this show I discuss the filmmaking techniques and storytelling choices that make my favorite films great. And I just came back from Dunkirk. I really wanted to talk about opening sequences. Now, if you saw the thumbnail, you saw the dude in color. That means I haven't watched the special features. That means I don't have enough information to really go behind the scenes with you and examine the whole movie. Generally, that takes seeing it a lot and trying to decipher what techniques were used. But I can talk about the opening scene. Opening scenes or opening moments. This is something that filmmakers are encouraged to do when it comes to everything. Whether you're making some kind of infomercial, or whether you're making a music video, or whether you're making a feature film. It doesn't matter what format you're in. If you're a director, if you're in the visual medium, you know that your opening shot or your opening segment or sequence has to have something interesting or exciting or strange or something that catches your eye and sort of gives you a sense of what you're about to get into. You know, Hollow Man, which is about Kevin Bacon turning invisible and doing Kevin Bacon things. That's directed by Paul Vanderhoven, and it opens with, he turns invisible, right? That's what the story's about. So it opens with this little mouse getting picked up and crushed, and you're seeing blood go everywhere. But you don't see what crushed him. Something was holding him up that was invisible. And that sort of is that opening image gives you the entire concept of what's coming in the story. The invisible thing that crushed the rat was a giant gorilla. And that becomes what Kevin Bacon feels he is when he becomes invisible. He feels like this god looking over rats, little lab rats, when he looks at people. And that's part of his character, blah, blah, blah. So filmmakers in general do this. That's just an example. So when it comes to Christopher Nolan, he does the same thing. Thinking about Memento, that starts off with a single shot, and you're seeing this photograph. At first, it's a picture of someone who's shot and on the ground, and slowly it sort of fades to white, and the hand is like flipping it. It's a Polaroid. And you realize that this is a photograph de-exposing, and all of this is going in reverse. And that's sort of his visual to tell you, the audience member, that this story is going to have elements that go backward in time. And certainly that's what happens, is that part of the story is happening. You're seeing the sequence of events in reverse order, and part of this story is the sequence of events is told in in linear order. So from that you can see that Christopher Nolan, from early on in his career, understood the importance of an establishing shot that impresses upon you, not to impress you, but impresses upon your mind the ideas that he's trying to put forward in the movie. And Dunkirk is no different. But he's really got an exhilarating opening shot in this movie. While Memento is strange and ethereal and beautiful, Dunkirk is just, it's kind of picturesque. You feel like you're seeing a photograph of soldiers walking around. It just happens to be moving. And what's beautiful is that you see them all from behind. You don't see their faces. You just see them and their helmets, and it looks like a photograph that you would just see, passing by. And all of a sudden, and the camera's just pushing in, following them. And all of a sudden, gunfire. 2 of them go down. The rest start running. More gunfire. 2 more guys go down. Finally, the last 2 guys get on this fence and try to climb over. One guy is shot, literally, as he starts to pull himself up. The other guy narrowly climbs over, missing a bunch of shots. And that is when we see his face. And that's the opening shot. What Christopher Nolan is trying to sort of tell us is he's putting us in the experience. We don't see who's shooting them. We don't know where they are. We can't gauge them. And really, it's not important because this guy can't see them either. The guy who survives, he can't see them either. He literally narrowly escapes just knowing that the bad guy was behind him. He thought about nothing else but escape. And just putting you there, making you feel like, that's what I would do too, yeah. That establishing shot and the purpose of it is to sort of serve what I can conceive is that it's to serve 2 functions. What I got from it was this guy could be any soldier. He could be any one of them. That's why we didn't see their faces. Not because they weren't important, but literally that any soldier could have had this experience. That he is the sort of representation of everyone. Just, how did I make it out alive? I don't know. Anybody could have gone out in that moment. And that's really powerful. And the other function is largely, this is the experience of the movie. You're not going to see who's shooting. It's just about the guy who narrowly made it out alive. He didn't even look back. He until the bullets started going through the fence that he just hopped over the other side of. Then he looked back and said, crap, he tries to shoot back, and he's like, okay, this is futile, and gets the hell out of there. So that's the beginning of the movie, and that's really intense, and it's actually 10 times creepier not seeing who's doing it. It's really a really effective device. What this is called is subjective filmmaking. And Nolan mentions this in the aforementioned article as well, is when you choose to, in your shooting, not to show certain things because you either want to build up to a reveal or you just want to keep that experience of seeing what the character's seeing. In Back to the Future, this is used when Marty goes back to the 1950s because old Biff has brought the almanac back to his younger self, and Marty's trying to figure out how that happened. Essentially, when Marty is investigating 50s Biff, he discovers him at his grandma's house, and we see Marty behind a car, and we see over Marty's shoulder, in an over-the-shoulder OTS shot, looking at the house. We see young Biff come out, and we hear his grandma yell, and we don't see the grandmother. We just see from Marty's perspective. The closest we get on Biff is a just slightly closer wide shot. Not a medium wide shot. We see Biff in full from toes to above his head. Uh, and that's as close as we get. Now, they might have gotten closer shots and in editing decided not to use them, but essentially we really see Biff in this scene completely from Marty's perspective. And we track alongside Marty as he's hiding behind more cars, following, tracking Biff. And we even see Biff interact with some kids, and he takes their ball and throws it to the balcony of another house. And we don't see any close-ups of the ball. We don't see any close-ups of the kids. We see them all from this wide shot. And that's called subjective filmmaking. So hearing Biff's grandma yell at him is kind of comedic. The voice kind of sounds phony. It sounds like a cheesy, like they were just having fun with the voice. And you're just like, that's kind of funny. And it's like, but as Biff walks on and throws that ball over into the neighbor's house, it's like, oh, what a dick. Like, you feel like you're there and you're just watching it happen. And it makes you feel a certain way. Like, this guy's a real douchebag. So, oh, sorry. Chance, I should have told you I cuss a lot in these videos. I'm so sorry. Chance, other family members of the younger age, there may be some cussing. If your parents don't like you watching that kind of thing, please don't watch. Because this is a movie review and kids may look at it. So if you're a kid and you're under the age of 18, and also if you don't like cussing or me talking about inappropriate things, please don't watch. I'm very sorry for using bad language. Very sorry, family. No one's complained, but just in case, I'm sorry, family. Okay, I'm Hawaiian. Now, yeah, he just seems like a douchebag. And, but so taking that into Dunkirk, imagine just being there with the soldiers. Like, there's a great scene where they're, basically the guy who survived in the opening has met up with this other group of soldiers who've narrowly survived, boats going down. And they're all hiding inside this fisherman's boat. And all of a sudden, pew! Like they just hear a gunshot and they see a little spot of light in their dark undercarriage of the boat. I'm like, what? And then pew! Another bullet. And then pew! And you're just like, it's just, each bullet is getting a little bit closer to them. And they figure out at first, oh, this is just target practice. The Germans don't know they're in there yet. But we never see the Germans shooting outside. We don't get their position. We don't get any of that. And the truth is, the story is never going to go to the place where they're jumping out, shooting back at them. So you really don't need that. That's the great thing about the movie. It's completely subjective. Really subjective. Every single sequence, you're just with those people. And the movie does a clever job of showing you different points of view, and it turns out some of these people actually do cross a number of times. But the movie edits the timeline in such a way that you never totally know for sure if they're crossing yet. But as the story goes on, oh, okay, you guys actually crossed here. You crossed here. You just didn't know it. And that kind of is the exciting game of the movie, of realizing how people are looking out for each other. And there's this through line, this thread, these characters of an old man and his kids on a boat, and they're on a secret mission that it will be revealed is this president's mission to use a whole bunch of civilian boats to go scoop up all the soldiers off the island, so off of Dunkirk, so that they can go be used in the next battle, because they don't want to see all these guys get killed. And it's an ingenious plot. It's really ingenious, and the army doesn't even know that these guys are doing, that the Navy and all these different people and these civilians are working together to secretly, covertly do this. So they feel alone, and you feel trapped in that situation. So it's really like choosing to use subjective filmmaking is the technique that really makes this movie sing. So many movies are obsessed with what's the other guy doing on the other side, but if the story is not about the other guy, you don't need to see that. And this movie is living proof of almost in an extreme, in the blockbuster version of a Jim Jarmusch movie, in a not, which I think is just a serious war movie. That's what's going on here, because Jim Jarmusch would pick these solid shots that look kind of like photographs, and the camera would be locked off, and you just see two characters talk. Now, it's not totally like that, but the way the movie's shot, you always feel like you're just there in that moment. But you just happen to have a video camera or a film camera going. You're like, holy crap, I'm here recording this crap. Oh shit, don't kill me. And when people survive, you're just there with them surviving. That's what makes the magic work. Subjective filmmaking. That was the lesson of today. I talked about Back to the Future. I talked about Hollow Man. All of the stuff I'm talking about, it's not magic. It's not some unique understanding. It's all in the special features. It's all oh, I know, pretentious nerd alert. Yeah, blast, shut up. But essentially, all of that film language I described as something that you can find in commentaries, that you can find filmmakers talking about. So, yeah, it's all there. Film technique, that's why things are great. It's not just about the idea, and not necessarily about the execution. It's about the technique that makes the other two necessary. So subjective filmmaking, film learning. Learning is good. This is boring, but you learn something. You learn stuff. Maybe, unless you knew it already, in which case, smarty pants. You should make your own Why It's Great show. But it's not TheSalawag's Why It's Great if you're making it. You put your own city skyline underneath that thing. Take the Why It's Great, you put your own city skyline underneath that thing. That's what I want to see. Like, if you're going to take something from me that's free, make it your own, because that's what art is. Random speech just for you, for free, on TheSalawag's Why It's Great. I know I said Spider-Man was next. Why is it that I don't do what I say in the ads at the end? Why is it in black and white? Why do I have a beard? That's what you think about the beard? Thank you.